Well, I'm Alan Dale, and this is the Gale Force Summit, and I want to tell you what a wonderful time I'm having. Such great conversations around looking at that older workforce and all of the technologies and tools and strategies that go around that in Newfoundland and Labrador. Just had a great keynote speech, and on that note, sir, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Yeah, Alan, my name is Mark Patterson. I'm the Executive Director of an initiative out of Toronto Metropolitan University called Magnet. We're a center of innovation focused on the future of work, and especially the digital technologies that are empowering the future of work.
That has to be a fascinating space to be in right now. Talk to me about the trends that you're seeing, and maybe even wrap that into some of the highlights that you just spoke about at the keynote here today.
Absolutely. We're spending a lot of time right now on what is probably one of the most disruptive periods of our time, of my life for sure, but in how AI is transitioning jobs, all the technologies across all the industries, and how we actually interact in work. So that's a big part of our work right now, and there are very exciting things that are developing, but there are also a lot of challenges. So we're thinking about both sides of it as we kind of progress and trying to have conversations in communities across the country and online on shows like this. So thank you for your time.
Mark, one thing we're talking about here today is that sort of aging workforce and keeping people re-engaged longer in their life with so much to add. How do these tools help them do that?
Yeah, well, one of the amazing things is that despite what people might think, it's kind of counterintuitive, but new tools are actually reducing the need to, develop deep skills in different technology platforms. So the example I gave in the presentation was, Adobe, Photoshop, and how you would have to be pretty skilled to be able to do some graphic design work. But now with new models in ChatGPT, even over the last couple of weeks, that's much more accessible. And small businesses and people can now become graphic designers just by prompting or just by talking to or writing a short sentence. So just examples like that and how older workers can now use these tools in a much more accessible way compared to what a lot of the interfaces that we were used to using. Even Word or Microsoft, they're pretty complex if you get past the basic functionality.
Mark, what would you say to an older worker that's sort of listening to this conversation? I mean, this is daunting stuff, right? ChatGPT and Notebook LM and Perplexity, these are all like big sort of programs to interact with, but once you start interacting with them, they're actually not that hard to use. What would you tell an older worker?
That's exactly the point. Just start. Just try it. You're not going to break anything. There's nothing going to happen. Just actually try a couple of the tools. For example, that's why I picked 3 pretty basic tools, but powerful, really, really powerful, and play around with them. Watch a few YouTube videos, learn a little bit more about it, and really see what you can do with it. It's much more accessible than it used to be because of the way the technology is evolving. AI, for example, offers multimodal functionality. What that means is that we can talk to or listen or type, etc., into the functionality. And so it's a much more human type of interaction with technology than being intermediated by a platform. So it's making it much more accessible. There are challenges, but this is a good part of it.
It seems to me it's almost like a new language to learn, how to interact with it and prompting it correctly to get the results you want. That's almost a new language to interact. Am I right to say that?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because this is constantly evolving. Everything's evolving. Prompting is a really important skill. It's something we should learn as part of our AI literacy. But it's really just asking it. It sounds daunting because it sounds like prompt engineer. You have to do some prompt engineering. That makes it sound really kind of inaccessible. But really, it's just asking good questions. It's just critical thinking and asking good questions. So if you can ask a good question and frame it in the right way, and there's some simple things like giving it a role, providing context, examples, etc., then you'll get a really good result. And it's really not that hard. Some of the words we use don't really show how accessible it is. So just try it.
Right. Mark, it seems to me like there's room here to learn, like focused learning around AI. Do you find academia is leaning into that at the moment, or are they slow to get there?
No, I think like all sectors, there is resistance to change. As humans, we resist change. We resist doing things in new ways. But I think to be successful at any stage of our life, at any stage of our life, we need to really embrace new things, new ways of doing things, new technologies, and really push yourself. So challenge the barriers. Like if you say, oh, that AI, I can't do that. There's no way I could do that. Just try it.
Yeah, I love the story, Mark, that you told about giving your mom a computer and how that sort of changed her interaction with things. I mean, that's basically what we're talking about here. Give mom, dad a computer and see where this goes, because it's a very powerful tool in AI.
Absolutely, and I mean, nowadays, even most of the tools are available on phones and so on. I do know there are challenges in how to navigate and so on, but I think there's a lot of thought going into how to make these tools more accessible for all ages, and I'm just really impressed by what people can already do now, and it's one of the first technologies that's really not as bifurcated by age. Like most age groups are using it, so that's really interesting.
Sounds to me like Toronto Metropolitan University might be out ahead of the curve here. Am I correct?
Well, we're hoping to, but I mean, I'm only one department in a large institution. I think there's things that every organization, institution can do to do better. So, and I think we need to pay more attention in the Canadian post-secondary system and in our education system. And in post-education, employers need to do more work in helping to train their employees. So lots of work to be done. Nobody's perfect, but it's a journey and we can all work on it together.
Mark, thank you so very much. Certainly appreciate your perspective on this thing, and that was a wonderful conversation. This is not AI. This is real.
This is real.